Good evening, I'm James Ezimoha and you're watching A News. Let's see your headlines. European Union officials agree on new anti-Russian sanctions. Global leaders welcome the Pope's offer to host Russia-Ukraine talks at the Vatican. The Organization of Turkish States Leaders convene in Budapest for informal summit. Thank you for joining us. European Union officials met in Brussels on Tuesday to adopt a new tough package of sanctions against Russia amid the ongoing war in Ukraine. The latest measures target Moscow's so-called shadow fleet of oil tankers, aiming to cut off vital revenue streams for Kremlin.
European Union leaders agreed on the 17th sanctions package aimed at Russia amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The new measures focus on Russia's so-called shadow fleet, a network of nearly 200 vessels used to secretly transport Russian petroleum products and bypass existing sanctions. These ships enable Russia to sustain its war economy despite international pressure. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas explained that the sanctions aim to dismantle the operational capacity of this fleet, thereby cutting crucial oil revenues that fund Russia's war efforts. The latest restrictions bring the total number of banned ships to 342, preventing them from entering EU ports or accessing essential services. Kallas also confirmed that the EU is already working on another sanctions package to keep pressure on Russia until peace is achieved.
I think it is important, as we have all said, 27 of us, that there has to be full and unconditional ceasefire. Ukraine has already agreed to this 60 days or more than 60 days ago, and we have agreed that if Russia does not agree, what we saw yesterday, then we will put more pressure. So we will agree on the 17th package of sanctions today, but we continue on working on the next strong package of sanctions to put more pressure on Russia so that they would also want peace.
Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha praised the European Union's new sanctions. He called it an important step toward weakening Russia's ability to fund its war.
We also must step beyond 17th package. Oil price cap and our point of view, our position, reasonable price cap $30. Also, we need to pressure and we need to impact sanctions on banking system, on banking infrastructure, Russian banking infrastructure, including central bank.
The summit's decisions come amid preparations for peace talks between Russia and Ukraine following a phone conversation between Presidents Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. While Trump expressed optimism about a ceasefire, Putin indicated the negotiation process would take time. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte welcomed the involvement of the US in coordinating peace efforts, but stressed the importance of including European partners and Ukraine in discussions.
But clearly the American administration is very much involved, closely coordinating with European colleagues, and of course Ukraine, and I think that is very positive.
European leaders insist on an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. Germany hopes the US will increase pressure on Russia for a swift end to the war in Ukraine. The German Defense Minister, Boris Pistorius, claims that Russia is not genuinely interested in peace and is only buying time in talks with the United States.
I think we can say that yesterday's phone call once again confirmed that statements are being made by the Russian side, but so far there is no evidence of declared intentions. He is still not prepared to make any concessions. He is only talking about a ceasefire on his terms, i.e. on the familiar terms such as not joining NATO, ceding the occupied territories, and much more. Vladimir Putin is obviously continuing to play for time, which is also very clear to see.
Furthermore, it was reported that Ukrainian President Zelensky and Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, discussed the 18th EU sanctions package against Russia.
Pope Leo XIV has offered the Vatican as a venue for peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. This initiative has received support from European and US leaders. While the Vatican has not officially confirmed the offer, the international community views this development as a hopeful step towards ending the conflict.
European and US leaders have expressed support for Pope Leo XIV's offer to host peace talks between Russia and Ukraine at the Vatican. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni confirmed that leaders, including Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, French President Emmanuel Macron, and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, discussed the initiative with US President Donald Trump following his conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Pope, the first American-born pontiff, emphasized his commitment to global peace during his inaugural Mass, calling for a just and lasting peace. He later met with President Zelensky, marking his first known conversation with a foreign leader. US President Donald Trump said it would be great for Russia and Ukraine to hold ceasefire talks at the Vatican, saying it would add extra significance to the proceedings. Trump expressed confidence that both Russian and Ukrainian leaders are inclined towards resolution and noted that Putin has had enough.
Part of the Oval Office, the White House, big egos involved, but I think something's going to happen. And if it doesn't, I'd just back away and they're going to have to keep going. Again, this was a European situation. It should have remained a European situation, should have remained, but we have because the past administration felt very strongly that we should be involved, and we got involved much more than Europe did in terms of the money. And my whole life is like deals, one big deal. And if I thought that President Putin did not want to get this over with, I wouldn't even be talking about it.
While the Vatican has not officially confirmed the offer to host the talks, European leaders have welcomed the initiative. Prime Minister Meloni says that the Holy Father's willingness to host the talks at the Vatican was considered positive, and Italy is ready to facilitate contacts and work for peace. The proposal represents a significant diplomatic effort involving religious and political leaders aiming to address the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
Ukraine reports that Russian strikes overnight targeted central and eastern Ukraine, mostly affecting the city of Kherson. Local officials say that Russian forces shelled a residential area in Kherson again, injuring 4 civilians and damaging buildings. All received medical treatment at the scene. Earlier, authorities also reported that a municipal bus in Dnipro district was struck by a drone, wounding 5 passengers. These attacks follow a recent artillery strike on Sunday night that killed 1 person and injured 3 others. The European Union has lifted its economic sanctions on Syria, aiming to support recovery after more than a decade of civil war. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said on X that lifting sanctions will help Syrians rebuild a peaceful, inclusive country. She added that the EU has supported Syrians for 14 years and warned earlier that without action, Syria could become another Afghanistan. The 5th Qatar Economic Forum has kicked off in Doha. It focuses on major issues such as lifting the Syria sanctions, the Gaza conflict, and regional investment opportunities.
The 5th Qatar Economic Forum kicked off in Doha with a focus on global economic shifts and regional challenges. At the opening session, Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani highlighted the lifting of US sanctions on Syria, calling it a crucial step toward rebuilding war-torn nations. He urged continued efforts to support countries emerging from conflict, stressing the need for real opportunities and long-term development. Meanwhile, he added that Egypt remains a key destination as part of Doha's wider push to expand its regional economic presence. During the forum, Prime Minister also addressed the ongoing Gaza conflict, noting that recent rounds of indirect talks between Hamas and Israel in Doha have not yet led to progress. He explained that the two sides remain divided in their approaches. Hamas is seeking a phased agreement that could lead to a broader deal, while Israel prefers a single comprehensive agreement to end the conflict and secure the release of all hostages.
The rounds of negotiations that took place in Doha in the past couple of weeks unfortunately didn't lead us anywhere yet, because there is a fundamental gap between the two parties, which is one party is looking for a partial deal that might or have the possibility to lead to a comprehensive deal, and the other party is looking just for one-off deal and to end the war and to get all the hostages out. And we couldn't bridge this fundamental gap with whatever proposals we have provided.
Al-Thani warned that a further escalation in Gaza could increase civilian casualties and complicate diplomatic efforts to reach a resolution. He called for continued dialogue and restraint to avoid worsening the humanitarian situation.
It is critical.
The United Nations is calling the latest humanitarian aid trucks for Gaza a drop in the ocean and urges for an urgent increase in assistance. It's after Israel allowed 9 vehicles to enter the Strip after an 11-week blockade.
After 11 weeks of total blockade, Israeli authorities have allowed limited humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. The United Nations has welcomed the step, but says the amount of aid permitted is far from enough.
Remain in place. Today, he said 9 of our trucks were clear to enter via the Karim Shalom crossing, but it is a drop in the ocean of what is urgently needed, and significantly more aid must be allowed into Gaza starting tomorrow morning. To say that this is a drop in the ocean is a clear understatement, right? Of course, 9 trucks is better than no trucks, but we need a massive uptick of humanitarian aid.
Responding to Israeli and US efforts to restructure aid mechanisms, the UN reaffirmed its position. The organization's spokesperson emphasized that until a ceasefire is reached, priorities remain for aid deliveries and the release of hostages.
We need to get the hostages out. We understand there are discussions going on with the help of the mediators, with the help of the US, the help of Qatar, the help of Egypt, to get Israel and Hamas to agree. We need that to happen. In the meantime, we will continue to do our work proudly under very, very difficult circumstances, very dangerous circumstances. As I mentioned, 3 more of our colleagues were killed today, 2 of them on an airstrike in what had been an UNRWA school. But we do not need to bend on our principles on how we do our work.
The UN has always said that Gaza needs at least 500 trucks of aid and commercial goods every day. The World Food Programme says more than 116,000 metric tons of food, enough to feed 1 million people for up to 4 months, is standing ready to be brought in. However, it remains unclear how much aid would be allowed in and how it would be distributed. Since the Gaza aid blockade began on the 2nd of March, 57 children have reportedly died from the effects of malnutrition, according to the Ministry of Health. If the situation persists, nearly 71,000 children under the age of 5 are expected to be acutely malnourished over the next 11 months. UK, France and Canada call the current aid insufficient, urging Israel to lift restrictions. They also warn they will take further concrete actions if Tel Aviv doesn't allow assistance through. The warning comes as thousands of aid trucks wait at the Gaza border, surrounded by uncertainty of when they can be delivered.
Yemen's Houthis group say they will enforce a naval blockade of the Israeli port of Haifa in response to Israel's ongoing assault in Gaza. The port of Haifa is the largest of Israel's 3 major international seaports, with nearly 20 million tons of cargo passing through each year. Houthi spokesperson Yahya Saree warned shipping companies to steer clear of the port, now listed as a target. The Houthis' declaration follows a pattern of escalating threats between Iran-backed group and Israel. Foreign ministers from Pakistan, China and the Taliban-led Afghan government are convening in Beijing for trilateral discussions. The talks aim to enhance regional cooperation and address security concerns in Afghanistan. Our correspondent Manu Makdam has more from Beijing.
Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar is expected to engage in a trilateral dialogue in Beijing with his counterparts from China and Afghanistan, including the acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. The talks are expected to serve as a critical platform in advancing regional diplomacy with a focus on stabilizing Afghanistan and strengthening multilateral cooperation in South and Central Asia. One of the key topics of discussion is the promotion of regional stability. The three sides are expected to emphasize and reaffirm their shared interest in a peaceful, inclusive and sovereign Afghanistan. Economic cooperation is also expected to be a prominent feature on the agenda. Talks may explore the potential extension of Pakistan-China economic corridor into Afghanistan, enhancing regional connectivity through trade, infrastructure projects and investment partnerships. Counterterrorism is also expected to be a major topic of discussion. The participants are expected to emphasize the need for a coordinated approach to neutralize the threats posed by transnational terrorist groups. Strengthened intelligence sharing, border management, and security cooperation is expected to be proposed to safeguard the collective regional interest. Overall, these talks are poised to reinforce the trilateral format as a strategic platform to navigate collective challenges and opportunities. These talks aim to substantially contribute to the regional stability, financial integration, and counterterrorism cooperation. Manu Makdam, A News, Beijing, China.
Still on the trilateral meeting being held in Beijing, Afghanistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the talks is another step in strengthening ties between Kabul and Beijing amid evolving regional dynamics. Our correspondent Tamim Bahis has more from Kabul.
Afghanistan's acting Minister of Foreign Affairs Amir Khan Muttaqi is currently in China on an official visit where he is leading a high-level delegation that includes Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister Muttaqi has already begun his diplomatic engagements and is expected to meet with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi for discussions on a range of critical issues, including political relations, economic cooperation and bilateral trade. The visit marks another step in strengthening ties between Kabul and Beijing amid evolving regional dynamics. In addition to bilateral meetings, Muttaqi is in China to participate in a trilateral meeting with the foreign ministers of China and Pakistan. The gathering serves as a strategic platform to navigate shared regional challenges and explore opportunities for cooperation on security, connectivity and development. In a conversation with A News, a senior official from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the trilateral dialogue reflects a joint effort to promote regional stability and economic integration. The talks are particularly significant as Afghanistan seeks to enhance its diplomatic footprint in the region, while China continues to play a mediating role in South and Central Asia through multilateral forums and economic initiatives. This is Tamim Bahis in Kabul for A News.
In the aftermath of India's latest reciprocal strikes on Pakistan on the 7th of May, Indian television news descended into an unprecedented frenzy, broadcasting fabricated reports. Anchors claimed India had launched full-scale assaults on Karachi's port, that its army had crossed international borders, that Pakistan's leadership had fled, and even that a coup had taken place in Islamabad. None of these reports were true. This situation highlights the importance of fact-checking and the harm of disinformation.
During the recent flare-up between India and Pakistan, Indian TV channels has come under criticism for spreading exaggerated and often false claims. According to The Economist, while the government described the operation as limited and precise, some Indian media issued false reports claiming large-scale assaults and political upheaval in Pakistan. These unverified stories, including calls for the destruction of Karachi, led to diplomatic tensions and public confusion. Indian anchors on mainstream news channels went into overdrive and were doing their best to outshout each other about one alleged Indian victory after another alleged advance. Karachi port destroyed screamed one headline along with the channel's anchors. One notorious ex-military Indian analyst exulted that India should subsequently destroy all of Karachi with BrahMos missiles from the INS Vikrant, the Indian aircraft carrier that was hundreds of miles away. Another channel had Indian ground forces in Lahore. A third announced the takeover of Quetta by the banned Balochistan Liberation Army and the secession of Balochistan. Then one broke the news that Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir had been arrested and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif had been scuttled off to a secure location. Another shrieked that Islamabad had fallen and the Indian flag had been flown in the capital. The situation intensified when US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire on May 10th, surprising many who had anticipated continued conflict. This unexpected development led to public disillusionment and criticism of the government's handling of the situation. In response, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation on May 12th, reaffirming India's stance and organizing victory rallies to regain public support. This episode highlights the dangers of sensationalist journalism during crises, emphasizing the need for accurate and responsible reporting to maintain public trust.
A month ago, Spain and Portugal faced Europe's most severe blackout in recent memory. Over 55 million people were left without power for more than 10 hours, while some blame the growing reliance on renewables. The true cause remains under investigation.
The major power blackout that hit the Iberian Peninsula on April 28th left over 55 million people without electricity across Spain, Portugal, Andorra, and parts of southern France. Lasting over 10 hours, it disrupted telecommunications, transport, and emergency services. At least 8 people, including 7 in Spain, died due to incidents linked to the outage, such as generator fumes and candle fires. The failure originated in Granada, Badajoz, and Seville, where heavy reliance on solar energy and lack of backup sources made the grid vulnerable. France, after detecting frequency disturbances, disconnected from the European system, causing a sharp voltage drop that led to a broader collapse. Spain's electricity operator REE ruled out the possibility of a cyber attack after a cybersecurity task force analyzed millions of data points and found no signs of a digital breach. Spain's intelligence center confirmed the absence of any cyber threat. An energy supply shortage was also dismissed, as Spain had been exporting electricity prior to the blackout, indicating there was no generation deficit at the time. Experts now point to a combination of technical and structural factors. These include grid overloading in Granada, Badajoz and Seville, complete reliance on solar energy in these areas without backup support, and the destabilizing effect of France's automatic disconnection. Underlying all of this are deeper structural weaknesses in Spain's grid, including limited internal resilience and an overdependence on intermittent renewable sources. The Spanish government said the investigation could take 3 to 6 months and called for stronger infrastructure and better integration of renewables. The blackout has sparked political backlash. The opposition has seized on the event to question Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's energy policy, particularly the rapid transition away from nuclear energy and the growing reliance on renewables. Portugal, which had recently resumed electricity exchange with Spain, was heavily affected. Lisbon blamed Spain's grid instability and noted economic impacts, including disruptions reported by the Bank of Portugal, though it has not ruled out seeking compensation. The Future Energy Summit in Madrid on June 24th is expected to focus heavily on the lessons from this crisis. It aims to explore strategies for strengthening energy security as Europe moves further toward reliance on renewable energy.
In the capital of Hungary, the summit of the Organization of Turkic States kicks off, and our very own Andy Miot has more from the venue.
We're coming to you from Budapest, where the informal summit of the Organization of Turkic States has kicked off. The representatives of member states, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan, have arrived in Hungary, where they are hosted by the country's Prime Minister Viktor Orban. Now, this is the first OTS summit being held in an observer state. Hungary likes to say of itself that it is the most Western of the Turkic world. Ahead of the summit, Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev met with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban to discuss strengthening cooperation and improving bilateral ties. The two countries have been strategic partners since November 2014 and have taken a step further in January 2023 when they signed a declaration on expanded strategic partnership. For now, let's hear what the two leaders had to say.
Without the support of the Turkic-speaking states, it would be very difficult for us to ensure our energy security today. However, we will do everything in our power to ensure the sustainability of our economy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how the value of a reliable partner is measured. If it were not for the Turkic countries, the Hungarian population would have to spend 3 to 4 times more on energy. Mr. President has assured us that Hungary's gas supply will be ensured this year, as it was last year. Azerbaijan has assured us that we will be supplied with the necessary amount of gas.
Bizim iki taraflı gündemimiz de kifayet kadar geniştir. Biz bugün bunu geniş müzakere ettik.
Our bilateral agenda is also quite extensive. We discussed this in detail today. We are successfully cooperating in the energy sector. Hungarian companies have stakes in 2 major oil and gas projects in Azerbaijan, the Azeri Chirag Guneshli and Shah Deniz fields. The next contract will be signed early next year. We also exchanged views on this today. A Hungarian company will begin operating in the onshore oil fields of Azerbaijan. We have been exporting natural gas to Hungary since last year. I noted today, and the Prime Minister noted here too, that we can arrange gas supply at the level of Hungary's demand.
When it comes to economy, Hungary buys Azerbaijan's gas, both as LNG and delivered through the Trans-Anatolian pipeline, the Trans-Adriatic pipeline, and through European interconnections. Budapest has invested over $1 billion in Azerbaijan, with one of the most notable examples being Hungary's MVM Group, buying a 5% stake at the Shah Deniz gas field. Hungary and Azerbaijan, along with Georgia and Romania, are in a joint venture that's meant to transfer green energy from the South Caucasus to Europe. Now, this strategic partnership doesn't only cover trade and energy, it also covers policy. Hungary has always supported Azerbaijan's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and Hungary's companies are now engaged in some of the projects of reconstruction in the Karabakh region. Now, the gathering of OTS leaders is meant to be a waypoint for the future of the organization, while Hungary says this meeting will strengthen its role as a link between the West and the East. A Budapest declaration is also expected to be signed at the end of the summit. From Budapest for A News, Andy Mioch.
On the importance of friendships and partnerships in the current world arena, our Andy Mioch caught up with Laszlo Vasa of the Hungarian Institute of International Affairs.
Professor, we heard today Viktor Orban saying that a friend in need is a friend indeed. How important would you say that it is for Budapest to have a friend in Baku, not only when it comes to trade, energy, the gas and the green energy projects? How important is it for Budapest to have a friend?
Yes, Azerbaijan is our longtime friend, and we have common points and supporting each other in the international arena quite frequently. In the UN voting processes or election processes in the international organizations. Yes, it is, I would say, a real friendship which cannot be just characterized with economic and business issues. Azerbaijan is much more for us. First of all, Azerbaijan is the guarantor of the peace and the stability in the Southern Caucasus, which we think it is important. And I would say Azerbaijan is the guardian of the stability in Central Eurasia, with its key role in the Middle Corridor, which is far not just economic project. It is much, much more, because it is connecting Far East and Europe with each other, and Azerbaijan will have a significant share of this connectivity. So I would say that due to our long-term friendship, which is based not only on mutual interests, but it is based on, let's say, spiritual and historical feelings and heritage, it is meaning something which is not much understood in Europe anymore, that real friendship is still existing, and friends are supporting each other for sure in any circumstances. And when it comes to the Ukrainian war, Azerbaijan has a very clear and it's a very well understandable point that all the parties should be heard, and we should negotiate with each parties in a conflict. So I think our cooperation has a big future, and it is just up to us how we can fill these many cooperation MOUs with content.
Well, thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.
Armenia has reportedly signed major defense deals with India and France worth nearly $1.75 billion in total. The information comes from Russian and Indian sources, though Yerevan has not officially confirmed all the details.
Armenia has shifted its focus to defense and military equipment produced in India and France. According to a report by the Russian International Affairs Council, Armenia has signed defense contracts with India and France worth nearly $1.75 billion. The report says that between 2022 and 2023, Armenia agreed to buy weapons from India for around $1.5 billion. The contracts cover a wide range of military equipment, including rocket systems, anti-tank missiles, artillery, and air defense systems. Indian media have occasionally reported on these contracts, but Armenia has not officially confirmed them. Data from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute shows that between 2022 and 2024, 43% of Armenia's arms imports originated from India. This marks a sharp contrast with the 2016 to 2018 period, during which Indian arms exports to Armenia were negligible. Furthermore, in 2023 and 2024, Armenia signed separate contracts with France worth about $250 million. Under the 2023 agreements, France delivered 24 Bastion armoured vehicles and a shipment of night vision equipment made by defence firm Safran. Armenia also finalised deals for Groundmaster 200 radars and Mistral 3 air defence systems. In 2024, additional contracts were signed for Caesar self-propelled howitzers and various models of assault rifles from French manufacturer PGM. The howitzer deal was publicly confirmed by French Defence Minister Sébastien Lecornu. Changes in Armenia's defence procurements policy come at the expense of Russia, previously the key supplier of military hardware to Armenia. Russia's continued struggle with sanctions and the protracted conflict in Ukraine created an opportunity for India and France to expand into the market traditionally dominated by Russia.
Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan will pay a working visit to Russia from the 25th to 27th of May. That's according to Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova. She added that Fidan is scheduled to hold talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The discussions will focus on regional issues such as Syria, Libya, the South Caucasus, and the Black Sea region. They are also expected to discuss prospects for trade and economic cooperation whilst reviewing plans for upcoming high-level bilateral meetings. The Azerbaijan National Agency for Mine Action has released its weekly report on demining operations conducted in areas liberated from occupation. From May 12th to 18th, mine and unexploded ordnance clearance operations were carried out in 13 liberated areas, including Tartar, Shusha and Zangilan. During the operation, 36 anti-personnel mines, 23 anti-tank mines, and 377 unexploded ordnances were neutralized. In total, more than 1,200 hectares of land were cleared. The agency says efforts to eliminate mine threats and ensure safety in the region are ongoing. Landmines continue to pose a serious threat to communities long after conflicts have ended, putting lives at risk, blocking progress, and slowing recovery. It's a reminder of the need for global support and teamwork to clear these deadly remnants of war and help affected communities move forward.
Landmines are silent traps hidden in the ground, widely used during conflicts due to their low cost, ease of deployment, and long-lasting impact. The threat posed by landmines is severe and ongoing, with over 100 million people worldwide at risk. The United Nations Mine Action Service, UNMAS, has spent over 20 years addressing the needs of communities affected by explosive hazards, focusing on the safety of civilians, peacekeepers, and humanitarians. Its work includes mine clearance, risk education, and support for affected populations. Every year, thousands of people around the world fall victim to landmines. According to the United Nations, one person is either killed or injured by these devices every hour, with children being particularly at risk. This highlights the persistent danger landmines pose to civilians, even long after conflicts have ended. Azerbaijan, deeply affected by landmines due to the Karabakh conflict, is one of the countries that actively raise awareness about this issue. Since the conflict began, approximately 4,000 people have fallen victim to landmines. Even after the conflict ended in 2020, over 380 people have lost their lives due to landmines, underlining the ongoing risk. The country is still in the process of clearing landmines from its territory, and experts suggest it could take decades to complete this task. In addition to the human toll, landmines also have significant environmental consequences. Landmines make land and resources inaccessible, causing overuse of remaining areas and soil degradation. They also harm biodiversity by triggering explosions or leaking chemicals into soil and water. Efforts observed on International Mine Awareness Day have led to greater global focus and resources dedicated to mine action, saving lives and restoring communities. However, continued international collaboration is necessary to address widespread contamination. Sustained funding, technical expertise and cooperation are critical to ensuring the safety of affected populations and completing demining efforts.
From freezing shady bank accounts to tracking dirty money with AI, the future of anti-corruption is being shaped right here in Baku. Azerbaijan is using the moment to lead global conversations, bringing together delegates to forge new partnerships and strengthen international action.
The 6th plenary meeting of the UN's Global Operational Network of Anti-Corruption Law Enforcement Authorities, GLOBI Network, is being held in Baku. The international event brings together over 300 participants from more than 120 government bodies, including 21 prosecutors' offices, 53 independent anti-corruption agencies, and 16 international organisations. President Ilham Aliyev has addressed the participants of the meeting. The message was read out by Azerbaijan's Prosecutor General Kamran Aliyev. According to the president's words, the country has established strong legal and institutional frameworks, made significant reforms, and continues to promote transparency, accountability, and international cooperation.
Baku has become global headquarters in the fight against corruption this week. Top law enforcement officials from around the world are here to explore how AI and tech can outsmart crime. Delegates from 92 countries are meeting to swap strategies and sign key cooperation deals.
The plenary session themed Prospects of Applying New Technologies and Artificial Intelligence in the Fight Against Corruption focused on using new technologies and AI to fight corruption, features over 100 discussions on asset recovery, financial crime prevention, international cooperation, and public awareness.
We are expecting many outcomes of the event. One of them is the guidelines for sharing of information and the acknowledgement also of the model agreement between GLOBE members as well.
Very important features of that platform is that we trust that platform. It is secure, everything is encrypted. So it's very important for law enforcement agency to work together in an efficient way and a secure way. So I think contributing ourselves in this global network is another very important element of it. We not only enjoy the benefit it brings to us, we have to actively contribute ourselves in terms of our knowledge, our experience, and what we can do to make this organization, this network grow along with different stakeholders. So this is why we're here.
Pakistan is ready to have MOU with Azerbaijan because we know we cannot live unless we have unity, we have head-to-head. Immediately in the last year, Pakistan's Prime Minister has also announced to promote the trade and investment with Azerbaijan. So the moment these actions starts, the element of corruption also can be there, and we can have joint issues. Pakistan can come forward with an MOU, and under that MOU we can arrange workshops, we can training program, the capacity building issues, the joint training to understand what is happening in Azerbaijan with reference to anti-corruption and what we are doing in Pakistan.
Numerous bilateral meetings and the signing of Memorandum of Mutual Cooperation are planned at the meeting. The international event will last until May 23rd.
The European Commission forecasts that Georgia's economic growth will reduce to around 5% or 6% annually in 2025 to 2026 after a strong 9.4% growth in 2024. Economic expansion will remain driven by consumer spending and rising wages. Meantime, unemployment fell to 13.9% last year, with real wages up 15%, boosted by skilled migration and labor shortages. Georgia's debt remains under control, pointing solid fiscal management. Termiz, the southern gateway to Uzbekistan, has made history by hosting the first ever Termiz dialogue, focusing on the growing connections between Central and South Asia. Over 200 representatives from foreign ministries, along with heads of international and regional organizations, attended the forum. Farza Kalimodzina has more.
South Asia is currently the fastest growing region in the world. In 2024, its total GDP hit $4.9 trillion, making up 4.5% of the global economy. But despite this growth, trade and economic ties between Central and South Asia are still relatively low, with only about $5 billion in trade. For comparison, Central Asia's trade with the European Union is over $55 billion. These numbers show just how much potential there is for greater cooperation, even if it has not been fully realized yet. To take cooperation to the next level, forum participants proposed several measures, streamlining customs and logistics, expanding transport corridors, modernizing energy infrastructure, and speeding up the use of digital solutions. A key focus was the Trans-Afghan Transport Corridor project, which will connect Central Asia to the ports of the Indian Ocean via the shortest route through Afghanistan and Pakistan. This will not only give landlocked Central Asian countries access to global trade, but also integrate them into international supply chains. Traffic along this route has already more than doubled from 1.8 million tons in 2021 to 4 million tons in 2024, with Uzbekistan playing a central role in their transit. The choice of Termez as the forum venue is no accident. Located at the crossroads of Central and South Asia, Termez has long been a hub for regional connections and a center for cultural, civilizational and religious dialogue. People from Pakistan and Afghanistan can now stay in the city for up to 15 days without a visa, helping to boost trade and exports from Afghanistan, Pakistan and other countries in the region. Experts believe that the Termez dialogue is more than just a one-time event. The forum is expected to lead to a joint communique signaling the commitment of both Central and South Asian countries to build trust, expand trade and tackle shared challenges together. This document could become a roadmap for future actions, from regular expert meetings to tracking the progress of key infrastructure projects. Fariza Kallimurzina, A News, in Almaty, Kazakhstan.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.